AITA for telling my stepdaughter she's lucky I treat her as my own. I 44F have two children with my husband, 2, boy and 3, girl, and a bonus daughter, 18F, Emily. My stepdaughter has been living with us for 6 months this past year. She moved in because she told us her mother kicked her out since they didn't have a good relationship and her mother said she was too problematic. Since her moving in, I've been very welcoming and I've spent more than enough money to help Emily get on her feet. This includes work shoes, comforter sets for her bed, hair products, clothing and underwear. We told her that she could live here as long as she needed, but since her moving here she's become a burden to both my children and I. My children and I are used to a regimen of waking up, spending time with my husband, him dropping them off to daycare and he goes off to work, and when he gets home, I cook, clean, and we spend the rest of our night with the kids. My stepdaughter has become a burden. She has become entitled, and whenever she needs anything financially she will ask either myself or my husband. When I bought her work uniform, she kept the job for 3 weeks and then quit because she didn't like her co-workers. She has taken most of my savings, taken the time from my children to my husband, and used the time for herself and had been extremely unappreciative for what I've done for her. I told her she needed to figure out a living plan because she is 18 and a legal adult and that she needs to start adulting. She mentioned how she was in school, online, and I told her that wasn't enough since there are more hours in the day and she can do more than just be lazy all day and use her computer as an excuse. She told me that I am jealous of her relationship with my husband, and I reminded her that she's living in her home rent-free. I told her that she should be lucky that I treat her as my own because not everyone would do such with their stepchild. Editing for info. My husband thinks I am wrong for saying this to her and that what I did was harsh, but I don't see how when she is 18 years old and she is grown. Now for some comments. You're writing the narrative, but you still come across as the First off, since school isn't enough for her to do, why aren't you telling us about your own job? Because from the sound of it, you're a sumbit without the kids, so just a SAHW. Also, it easily sounds like she worked at a toxic workplace, which is especially common at chains where uniforms need to be bought. What do you mean with taking the time from my children and use the time for herself so she's being social with you guys, and out competing a 2 and a 3-year-old for attention? You believe that yourself? Also, not everyone would do such with their stepchild, except everyone who would want a good relationship with the child's partner absolutely would treat the stepchild like that. Yet if her husband drops the kids at daycare, what is OP doing all day? OP is jealous that a SD wants to spend time with their dad. What a sorry excuse for a step-parent. Also, it sounds like OP has just spent the basics on her stepdaughter: bedding, clothing, and sanitary supplies. OMFG, the sky is falling. So much money is being spent on unnecessary things for SD. Have you OP tried to be a role model for SD? Just telling her to be an adult and start adulting without equipping her with the skills to succeed is setting her up for failure. Granted, all of this is from your point of view, so I bet you are sugarcoating how shitty it really has been for SD. It's harsh because she isn't taking time away from his kids. She is his kid. This is something dad needs to handle. And OP certainly doesn't treat her like Op's child. OP, and completely oblivious. You most certainly do not treat her as one of your own. If you did, then you wouldn't have said that to her. You also told her she was living in your house. It's her dad's house, therefore should be her home too. You do sound jealous that she's there interacting with her father in the evenings. You also don't sound like you are buying her extravagant things. You sound like you're providing just the basics. Everything you're complaining about is a typical teenager. Your children will be the same way. Hard. You said she is lucky you treat her like your own, but you don't. I doubt you would call your own children a burden or problematic. Also, it's all my children this, my children that, my children. Clearly, you do not treat her as one of your own, and your husband is her dad too. She can't steal time from your children from their dad because she is his daughter. Edit. Wow, just seen your comments and would like to add that your SD is absolutely right, and you're clearly very jealous and very bitter and resentful towards her because she dares to want to spend time and talk to her dad. Just because your children are small, doesn't mean they deserve more time and attention that your SD. You're supposedly an adult, act that way. She is a child that also needs her dad. So you provided her with basic necessities and she isn't bowing down to you. She's spending time with her father, and she goes to school, and for all these things she is a burden. She's a teenager being thrown around because no one wants her, and instead of trying to help, you're adding to her burden. Upvote 468 downvote. And it doesn't seem a red flag to you that no one wants her? Upvote -833 downvote. Holy cow, you're just evil at this point. JFC, are you really this nasty? I'm actually shocked. You haven't even said why she is a burden. What is she doing so wrong? She's 18, for crying out loud. She wants to spend time with her own father. She studies online, and I have worked in a toxic place before. It's horrific. Why don't you actually spend some time with her, get to know her, and treat her like a human being rather than a stray you don't want in your house? I'm horrified at your comments. I hope your partner sees this true side of you and realizes his mistake.